Welcome back. Joining us now on the show is Manek Gupta. He's MD Viterra India. Manek, hi. Thank you so much for joining us at CNBC-TV18. Well, there's lots happening in the agri-commodities to begin with. But first of all, your sense on wheat itself, because we've seen the prices gain up by 22% in India. It's trading at an 8-month highs. And the expectation from the trade is that if there isn't enough wheat supplies into the open market by the government, you could be looking at even higher highs from here.
Yeah, of course, you're right, Manisha ji, that wheat prices have rallied 22%. But if you look at the values compared to the same period last year, we are still...
Okay, we'll try and get Manek back. But clearly, as he was saying, the wheat as a sector, when you look at that, well, last year, if you look at the government's holdings as well, they have been lower than the 5-year average. The latest number that the government released on 1st of October have been lower than what we saw as a 5-year average. So, Manek, you were putting your point that you need to look at the wheat in sense of a longer period, is it?
Yeah, I think so, because the same period last year, wheat prices at this time were a little bit higher. I just did the numbers. We're about 5% higher than last year at the same time. And also, you see the MSP last year went up by about 100 rupees. So you need to factor that in. But having said that, yes, at this time of the year, wheat was clearly a concern for the government back in January, end of January when it peaked last year. The government's carrying lower stocks this time compared to last year. There is some talk about concern on the acreage numbers. Last year we planted record acreage. This time, looking at reservoir levels, etc., the acreage numbers may be a little bit lower. Maybe 31 million is what the market's talking about. But, we still need to go through the seeding cycle to really see, and of course, the weather as to what next year's crop is going to be.
Manek, what's your sense?
On the import side, I think the government's clearly said that they don't want to allow imports to happen this year. If they were to allow imports and the duty was to be reduced, there could be enough supplies that could come into India. When you look at world market's trading roughly at $275 per ton landed India. So if you convert that to rupees and add the transportation cost to the mill, we would be about, especially for the southern Indian mills, we'll be about 20% below where the current market price is. So, but the window of import is short. The earliest imports you could ship out from origin is November, December. So it'll reach into India in December, January, which is the peak seeding period.
Manek, how would you also look at the expected MSP increase for the Rabi crops? I mean, the CACP has recommended anywhere between 2 to 7% of a jump with vaccine in case of wheat and masoor. And you also have other important crops like mustard and chana, etc. What's the sense that you're making of the CACP recommendations?
I think the recommendations should be very similar to last year. This is what we feel. I think if you look at wheat went up by about 110 rupees per quintal. I think we're looking at very similar numbers. Masoor, obviously, because we're an import deficit country, I think the government wants the masoor acreage to increase. Also, it's one of the replacement substitutes to tur, which has been in short supply last year. So we are expecting that, a similar trend in terms of increases like last year.
Manek, also, when you look at various agriculture commodities, with so many government measures coming in, how are you looking at the overall trade, especially with the festival season on? Next year is election season, so the expectation that the government hold is not going anywhere too soon.
Sorry, Manisha, what did you say? The expectation on the government?
Yes, I said the kind of control the government is having on the agriculture as a space right now is not expected to ease ahead of the elections coming in.
I think so. I mean, that's the general market feeling as well. But eventually, water will find its own level. So it's the demand and supply that will eventually determine prices. But yes, I agree. I think inflation is a big concern for the consumer, for the government. So we expect some of these measures that sort of restrict trade in the short term to probably continue.
All right. Manek, thank you so much for dropping by, and we hope to see and hear more from you when it comes to agri as a space. But with that, we'll go for a short break. Stay tuned. More news coming in on the head.